Hello! Today I'd like to show you 5 of my top favourite tools when it comes to cake decorating and modelling. I've been a cake decorator for nearly 20 years now, always as a part-time sort of hobby, but definitely a hobby I love, and I've spent a lot of time making quite intricate cakes and things that are a little bit more what you class as whimsical maybe, and really enjoy doing those type of things. Definitely sits where my brain's at most of the time, which is really nice. So I did want to introduce you to 5 tools, as I mentioned earlier, and these are my go-to tools. I have popped the links to Amazon for these items. If you'd like to use them, then that's fine. If not, you can find them pretty much everywhere. These are not tools that are expensive. These are just my 5 go-to items. If we go on holiday, for instance, I'll always take a small amount of things with me because I like to mess with things. I've always got to have my hands busy and my mind busy. So if it's a cloudy day, rainy day, and we are in UK, so that happens a lot, and I'm at a loss as to what to do, I'll often just do a little bit of modelling, and I always have these 5 tools on me. So these are the 5 tools that I've spoken about and that I'd like to introduce you to. And this is what it makes up the majority of every single modelled character that I'll do, or any sort of extras that I put onto like the cake itself. If I want to do any veining, if I'm doing any flower work or anything like that, these are my go-to, and I'll talk you through each one if that's okay. So we've got here at the start, this one is very well used. I do have quite a few of these, I'll be honest, but you cannot go wrong with this item. So it's a double-ended ball tool, and they come in various sizes. They're very inexpensive. You're talking less than, I don't know, £10 for a set of 4 generally they come in. But these are perfect for doing the sort of the eyeing sets, moulding out faces, putting chins onto faces. I also use them for flower work, to push out my paste, to smooth it all down, to give it some text, to give it some depth, and to create a little bit of movement in my petals. I also use this if I'm trying to run guidelines for things that I'm putting on. So if I'm piping, I'll run across it with a ball tool and I can see where I need to pipe. The reason I don't use anything like this one, the next tool that I use all the time, the reason I don't use likes of this for doing tracking and tracing onto my fondant before I'll do any pipe work is because this can leave quite a deep mark, and often with this ball tool you can run in any direction, you can easily sweep around and everything, and it's actually really organic in your hand, dead easy to use. It's weighted so it feels, you know, you definitely got hold of something, so you don't tend to put any real pressure marks on your cake. There's no puncture marks or anything like that, whereas with this one, as with a pen for instance, I want to trace this way but then want to change direction. I'll show you it on my hand. If I trace this way but want to change direction, I'm gonna end up piercing my cake as I try to spin that round to go around. So this is why I use these, because you can go in any direction at all, any pressure, and you're always going to get that same mark all the way across. So I find them really fluid to use, brilliant for that. So that does lead us directly into this next tool, which is the Dresden tool, also commonly known as a bone tool. You can use these for veining. This edge is really good for that, and some of them are really tapered and really quite sharp. I do have a couple of different items that I can show you. So like this one's got a really sharp edge on it. I don't know if you can see that very well, but oops, it's really quite good for doing veining And what I do find with these though, when they first come, they always tend to have, where they've been moulded, they have this like ridge where they've been put together, and that ridge I sand off, because whenever you're working with cakes or anything that's that you're trying to get a really smooth surface on, if that ridge is left, it turns into quite a deep groove when it's going onto sugar paste, and it looks really unsightly. I don't like that at all. So for this particular tool, I use this a lot when I'm doing like mouths. So I can pop that in to the character's mouth and pull up, push down, create a little bit of a gap and a space and such, which allows me then to move things around. I do eye sockets once I've pressed in and I've made my indentation with my ball tool. I go in and I can push it around with the Dresden tool, because it's got a really nice arc on it that allows you to get right in there and make the paste move, but keep it all smooth at the same time. So I really use these a hell of a lot. I mean, for smoothing things on, for attaching one bit of paste to another bit of paste and like smoothing those edges out and such. They're just really good for that. You also get like the pinpoint end, and like I say, because on some Dresden tools you'll find that some are sharper than others. I don't particularly like this one, I've got to be honest. This is like one of the main ones that you'll always find when you're searching for these. They are very inexpensive and they usually come in a set, always less than a £10. But this sort of sharp edge on it, it's just really difficult to not damage the work that you're on. Instead of this, leads on to the next tool that I used to like, and that has a pinpoint on it. So rather than trying to do a pinpoint with the Dresden tool, I will always go for a really fine pinpoint and allow myself some working space to make sure that the hole isn't bigger than I want it to be. So this is called a silhouette spatula tool, they're also known as pin tools. There is a few other names for them out there, but I'm not entirely sure. But on this side you have like this flat little knife, and it's sharpened on both sides as this one. So it's quite good for cutting through pastes. It's really good for flower work if you want to just take off any edges that are not plain ball, and you want to clean your work up. Really good for that. And equally for cutting out little shapes and letters and such, really good for that. And then you pick up this little pick on end here, as it is called. You can pick your little paste pieces up. You can pick up tiny little balls for like your irises and your eyes. You can make holes for things, like nostrils. Always use these for nostrils and then fan them out. Once I've got the nostril to the size that I want, depending on how big the character is of course, I will then go in with the end of the Dresden and just smooth things around a little bit just to keep it looking, as perfect as it can. But that's a really handy little tool. I love this one. Had this quite a while as well now. I'll just pop that back on. Don't fancy getting spiked while I talk to you. Next tool. So this is a angled eyeliner brush. It's a makeup brush, nothing fancy about it, bar the fact that it has, I don't know if you can see that, but it has got an angle on it, which allows you to do all a fine line as well as a thick line, but really controlled. It's a really nice brush. It makes doing eyes and things like that really easy. It's a fan favourite for me, is this one. I've got more of these than I can count, because generally once you've used them once, if it's been a darker colour, it's nearly always black because you're always doing the black eyeliners and such. They're really difficult to clean up, and for it not to go into your other colours, but I love these. They are like a perfect brush head for me. I do like the really long ones as well, and I have got, you know, an array of brushes, as you would, I suppose. But this is my go-to. That's the one I go to all the time. And then finally, an acrylic rolling pin. Doesn't look very assuming, I know, but this has been, God, I have had this years, and it's still in perfect condition. It's so tough and durable in comparison to like some of the white ones that I've got that tend to get a bit pitted, and they have, you know, they look like they've been used over time. These look perfect. They've had years and years and years of use, and every single time I roll out, I'm able to know that I'm doing it and I'm not leaving any marks that I don't want in my paste. It's just a really good thing. They're nicely weighted. I don't go for the rounded edges. So that's personal preference. That's just not my thing. Because generally what I can do as well with this is I can run it up the side of a cake if I want to, and run round if I'm wanting to just neaten up any little bits that I might have touched in as I've been working on it. That, for me, they're a top little item. Again, you can buy these dead inexpensive. There's nothing, you know, really special about them, but they are definitely worth noting as 5 items. If you're wanting to just get going or try out a little bit of cake decorating, you can't go wrong with these 5, especially if you buy them in the sets, because then you get more tools, obviously, so you can do a lot more things. But these serve me, and they serve me for nearly all of my characters. So I hope that I've given some value to this video, and that you're able to maybe have a look at those tools yourself, or if you use those tools already, pop it in comments and let me know what you think about those tools yourself and what your top 5 might be. I know that everybody's different, and we all have different sort of ways that we work with mediums as well. But for me, working with fondant, this is my 5 go-to tools. If I haven't got anything else at hand, I've always got these. So you know, this is my top 5. And it's not really changed over years neither. The only one I added in and really I've started to use more than I ever did is this one. And there's been no real reason for that, just mainly this like pin pick end on it. It just makes life easy sometimes, picking stuff up, putting it onto cakes, making tracks and things that I need. It's just brilliant. Really good value as well. I don't like wasting money on things, and I think, you know, it's really important in this day and age now that we really look at what we're spending on. I don't like to have waste either. I want to make sure what we do buy I'm going to use for a number of years, and that it's not just going to end up in a landfill. For me, these are it. You know, my 5 items. I have got multiples of these 5 items, but I do use them all. So I'm really glad that you stopped by and that you've watched my content. I really do hope that you'll come and watch some more of our videos, and it's been lovely. Thank you. Bye bye.